When I first moved into the neighborhood, the air was supposed to be filled with the serene whispers of suburban life. Instead, it buzzed with the authoritarian crackle of Todd, our HOA president. I remember the sharp sting of his gaze, the way his voice dripped with condescension as he wielded rules like weapons. Green lawns stood vigilant, yet his own yard screamed chaos, sheltering secrets he hoped would remain unseen. As neighbors huddled in whispers, I knew I was meant to challenge this tyrant, to peel back the layers of deceit dressed in community meetings and financial shadows. I felt the grit beneath my feet, the resolve hardening within me. Todd's reign wouldn't last forever, not if I had anything to say about it. I still remember the way the morning light splashed through the curtains that day, painting my room in shades of gold and softly illuminating the dust particles dancing lazily in the air. The serene beauty of that morning seemed at odds with the churn of nervous anticipation I felt deep within my stomach. It was as if the universe had decided to gift me a moment of peace before the whirlwind began. I took a deep breath, feeling the cool, crisp air fill my lungs, unaware of how much this day would change everything. As I went about my routine, my mind wandered back to the conversation I'd had with my old friend Mike just a few days prior. His voice, slightly rough yet familiar, echoed in my ears as I replayed our chat. "You really should check it out," he had insisted, excitement lacing his words as he described a mysterious event happening in the town over. At the time, I shrugged it off, too caught up in the rhythms of daily life to give it much weight. But now curiosity gnawed at me, planting seeds of intrigue that took root in my thoughts. I couldn't shake the feeling that this event held something significant for me. I glanced at the clock. Time seemed to slip away faster than expected. I grabbed my worn leather jacket, its fabric hugging me like an old friend, and headed out. The streets were bustling, alive with the morning rush. Cars honked impatiently, people moved past in blurred flashes of color and noise. The city felt alive, each person wrapped in their own story, each step a part of an invisible tapestry woven through its streets. As I made my way downtown, I wondered if they felt it too, the electric buzz of potential hanging in the air like an unspoken promise. The event was supposed to take place in an old theater, one that had seen better days but still held an air of grandeur. As I approached, the building loomed ahead, its facade faded but majestic, its doors open as if inviting secrets to be told within. I hesitated at the entrance, my heart pounding in rhythm with the echoes of footsteps that passed through the marble lobby. A voice inside me whispered of adventure, urging me forward, but a shadow of doubt curled around my mind. Would this be worth stepping into the unknown? But as the warm laughter of strangers drifted through the air, mingling with whispered conversations and soft music, I felt that pull of mystery tighten its grip. I had to know what lay beyond those doors. As I stepped inside, my breath caught at the sight of the auditorium. It was vast and dimly lit, rows of plush red chairs stretching out before me like waves in a forgotten sea. The stage was bathed in a spotlight, a bright white circle of promise against the velvety dark. A hum of anticipation filled the air. People whispered softly, their faces turned towards the front, waiting. There was an energy in the room, a collective breath held in unison as if the walls themselves waited for something extraordinary. My pulse quickened, matching the tempo of the rising whispers. What tales would unfold upon that stage? Gee, extraordinary. My pulse quickened, matching the tempo of the rising whispers. What tales would unfold upon that stage? What stories yet untold? The first act was a local band, their rhythms echoing through the hall, a melody of dreams and desires that resonated deep in my soul. I listened, letting the music wash over me, a cleansing wave of sound that pushed away doubts and fears. The lead singer's voice rose, raw and powerful, her expressions vivid like a painter's brush across a canvas. I felt connected, as if her words were threads weaving our stories together, tying strangers into an unbreakable bond. Music had a way of doing that, binding hearts and minds in shared experience, leaving nothing untouched. Just as the applause faded and the lights dimmed, a gentleman in a crimson waistcoat took the stage. With a flourish, he introduced the next act, an illusionist renowned throughout the country, a man whose tricks blurred the lines between reality and imagination. I leaned forward, captivated, His presence was commanding, his every movement precise and deliberate. The audience seemed to hold its collective breath, anticipation crackling in the air. The lights shifted, shadows danced across his face, and I felt that familiar whisper of intrigue tickle the back of my mind. It started with simple illusions, cards disappearing and reappearing in impossible places, scarves vanishing into the ether. Each demonstration was met with gasps and applause, the audience caught in the web of his art. But just as I thought I'd seen it all, something happened that made my heart stutter. He invited a volunteer onto the stage, and to my shock, his gaze fell on me. For a moment, I sat frozen, my mind a whirl of doubt and excitement. Could I really step into the spotlight? What awaited me under those blinding lights? But before I could protest, I felt a nudge from the person next to me, urging me on. Rising from my seat, I made my way to the stage, each step echoing in my ears like a heartbeat. As I stood beside him, he smiled knowingly, a reassuring presence in the sea of curiosity. The stage lights were unrelenting, their heat pressing down on me as I squinted into the darkness where I knew a sea of faces watched eagerly. What unfolded next was a blend of amazement and disbelief, as he guided me through an illusion that warped my perception, bending reality in ways I never imagined possible. As the act concluded, applause erupted, a symphony of relief and admiration ringing through the hall. With my heart still racing, I returned to my seat, a newfound buzz of energy thrumming through me. As the event drew to a close, the crowd began to disperse, their conversations a comforting hum that accompanied me to the exit. The city beyond the theater doors seemed transformed, its nighttime glow enchanting, the streetlights casting a soft glow over the paths ahead. My steps felt lighter, each one a punctuation in the narrative of my day. And though the night wrapped itself around me like a comforting blanket, I couldn't shake off the feeling that this was just the beginning. Something had awakened in me, a thirst for the unknown that only deepened as I walked away from the theater. But the story did not end with the stillness of the night. Questions swirled in my mind, questions of what might be next, of how this experience would shape the days to come. I moved through the streets both buoyed and unsettled by the wonders I had witnessed. As quiet settled over the city, I realized that life held far more than I'd ever imagined, and perhaps the real magic lay in the mystery of what was yet to be discovered. But at that moment, I had no idea what incredible journey awaited me next. The mystery of what was yet to be discovered. But at that moment, I had no idea what incredible journey awaited me next. Looking back on that chapter of my life, I realize it was never just about finding the missing puzzle pieces, but about uncovering the tapestry already woven right in front of me. Each twist and turn nudged me closer to an understanding, not of the world as it is, but of the person I was becoming. There were moments of doubt, sure, but also flashes of pure clarity that undeniably molded my path. In the quiet echoes of those times, I discovered that it's the journey, not the destination, that truly whispers our